Hello, and welcome back to the Sarkastik Wanderer podcast with Jace Brandt, where we talk about the art and media industries during the times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, I have my friend Andrew Stansbury here to talk about what is going on in the video game industry. In this episode, we discuss gaming during the stay-at-home orders earlier this year, the recent launches of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, and even dabble in some of the platform's technical achievements and launch titles. And with that, let's get started. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Sarkastik Wanderer podcast. Today I'm going to be talking video games with my friend Andrew Stansbury.
Yeah, video games. It's something I'm quite passionate about, I would say.
Yeah, so first off, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. All things considered with how this year has been, I'd say I'm pretty good.
Yeah, awesome. You just started a new job and everything, right?
Yeah. Just working at a local grocery store, which, I'm glad that I have some sort of income going on, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So grocery store by day and then kind of like video game developer by night?
You could say that, yeah. For the past few months or so, actually for the past year, I guess, I've been working on my skills as a game developer, game designer. Specifically, I am a systems designer, which is basically the person who creates the mechanics, the AI, the interactions with the world, stuff like that. So making something to kind of showcase that so I can get into the big wide world,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so making everything work properly. That's really good. And you're primarily self-taught, learn as you go,
Very much so, yeah. I graduated from college with a film degree, but I'm doing game design now, and that's because literally my senior year, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something completely different.
Mm-hmm. And you graduated early, a semester early too, so for one semester, you're like, I'm completely changing.
Yeah. And luckily, one of my teachers allowed me to have my senior project be something revolving around game development.
Yeah.
Which was very cool. And it helped me get started with it.
I think coming from film and going straight changing, you get a lot games are becoming so much more cinematic now.
Oh yes.
And so, but then keeping the story base as part of that, a big part of that. Do you think that that's helping you right now?
A little bit. I think knowing cinematic stuff is much more big picture, to be honest. So that'll be something that'll help me out more down the line. Right now, I am just trying to figure out how to make a ball jump.
Yeah.
Obviously it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
But I'm just figuring out the fundamentals right now.
Yeah.
But it does help.
Yeah. And so I'm sure you're always observing everything that's coming out and how are they doing that, especially with all the new stuff coming out?
Oh, yes. I have kept my finger on video games for quite a while now.
And you play all platforms, basically, right?
More or less. I don't own an Xbox, so I'm not as in that realm, but PlayStation and Nintendo and a little bit of PC, that's more of what I know and cover. So. Yeah,
so you got a good roundhouse because you also live with someone who's an Xbox guy.
That's true.
So you get the best of every world, basically, of all four.
More or less, yeah.
Plus mobile too, yeah.
That's true.
Literally all the platforms, for sure.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a wide variety of knowledge. So,
So then what would you say is your favorite?
Definitely Nintendo. I am, at heart, I'm a Nintendo boy. I grew up on the Super Nintendo and the N64. The first console that I bought for myself was a Wii U, which flopped, and then I got a Switch, which is much better.
Yeah.
And I've been a gamer and a Nintendo boy ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so kind of talking about the Nintendo with Animal Crossing New Horizons kind of helped with the Switch. I mean, it was already a very popular product to begin with. I know when that came out, everyone was hard pressing, let's get the Lite. And then that skyrocketed with that. Yes.
The Switch was, and of course still is very popular. Actually, there's a statistic that the Switch is the best-selling console month to month for the past 23 months.
That's insane.
And that might change a bit now because the PS5 and Xbox Series X just came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been crazy. And then with Animal Crossing, that came out back in March, which came, right around the time of lockdown and quarantine, started getting really heavy in the US and the UK. That it is the perfect game for quarantine. Just sitting down, nice casual island, create it however you want, share it with your friends, talk with your friends. It is just perfect for that.
It's either handheld or a console.
Yeah, exactly. And it's done so well. According to NPD, it is the 7th highest selling game of October and the 2nd highest selling game of October year to date, meaning like from past October to this October overall, it is the 2nd highest.
And the important part to note with that is digital sales are not included for this specific game.
Correct.
So that's only physical copies, and most people lean towards digital nowadays.
Exactly, which means that those numbers are actually probably 50-60% higher than they're saying they are, which probably puts them in the #1 spot for this past year.
Yeah, NPD does not have the physical numbers, like the gross and net numbers, but it's a ranking. But yeah, I would probably venture to say that, I mean, looking at all these other games that are above it, the only one I can really say is maybe Mario Kart. But
yeah, and I mean Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was a re-release of a Wii U game, although it's doing extremely well, it came out back in 2017, whereas Animal Crossing just came out, so it's got the it's got that new fresh. Yeah. So
I would venture to say it's probably FIFA 21 #1. Yeah, it's #1.
Yeah, I mean those sports games are always going to be up there because they just have incredible mass appeal to them. So I'm not too upset by that, but I'm definitely not a sports gamer. So
yeah.
But
yeah, and I noticed with Animal Crossing, once it kind of blew up, even celebrities started playing it. I saw, Elijah Wood went online, was selling beets or something, turnips.
Everybody's been doing something. I mean, when the presidential campaign started happening, Joe Biden, there was a Biden-Harris Animal Crossing island that you could go visit, and they had custom signs up and stuff, and it was honestly really cool. But
yeah.
But yeah, it was just funny to kind of see political stuff getting into video games, and I'm like, no, stay out of my little place.
But you did it so well.
So I can't be upset.
I have a friend who always sends me trailers made in the style of Animal Crossing, and it's someone recording themselves and editing it, like Drake and Josh.
I've seen a few of those. Those are very good.
I love those.
I saw one that was like a SpongeBob episode of the snail race, and it was done in Animal Crossing. Oh, it was so funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and Animal Crossing, it's just one game. I'm over here claiming sort of video games aren't only surviving in 2020, but they're thriving in 2020.
Yeah.
And one game's not going to be the difference between survive and thrive. I could go down the list of a bunch of games that have come out. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima,
Spider-Man Miles Morales, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Right, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking before launch.
Oh, before launch. Okay.
But
they were kind of waiting for launch.
We definitely have been waiting for launch. I mean,
the bigger studios are anyway.
Oh yeah, and I mean, releasing a game around the launch of a console will automatically get you more sales.
Yeah. Get that bundle.
Yeah, exactly.
Get that Assassin's Creed bundle.
Yeah. As you said, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Miles Morales. In December now is going to be Cyberpunk 2077, which is going to be amazing.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Keeps on getting delayed. I think 2077 is the year it's going to come out.
Oh, maybe. But it's crazy that with this year where E3 got canceled, so no conferences are going to happen or whatever. Nobody can go to these big conferences to see all these big announcements. These companies are bold enough to still come out with advertisements, and PlayStation had their State of Play, Xbox has their Inside Xbox stuff, and they were able to create this hype around these consoles and actually launch with enough reverence to them to sell out of their consoles.
At least for sure, Xbox, they're having issues stocking.
Definitely PlayStation as well. One thing is Best Buy sales, they are not going to have physical consoles in store until next year because of how many people have bought them.
Yeah.
It's just keep on getting backed up and stuff. I was lucky enough to just get mine a couple days after launch.
Yeah.
I wish I could have gotten it on launch, but oh well. It's insane that these consoles and video games are still thriving despite 2020, or maybe even because of 2020, they're doing so well. Because when you're sitting around doing nothing and you can't talk to people and you want to entertain yourself and still be with your friends, video games are the perfect way to do that.
Yeah, it was kind of like readying itself for like a very big online community. And so people are already ready for it.
Yeah. The fact that you can be with your friends online despite them being halfway across the country in quarantine or whatever is a real testament to how video games have evolved, how they're going to continue to evolve to accommodate us, and
Bring people together in such weird times.
Yeah, exactly. Weird and crazy times, dude.
And so there's a lot of like launches and stuff. Like there's people who've already been getting stuff. Like, I mean, everyone's always like watching videos, and I've seen a lot of videos online about the smoking Xboxes.
Oh my god.
So I'm like,
that was so dumb.
Well, it's like, that's not electronic smoke, and then it's like, that looks like vape smoke, and like, it is vape smoke.
Right.
Why? It's like because people are blowing in the bottom fan and having it come out the top.
Right, and then Xbox literally had to go out and tweet what's this? We can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox. It's like
you're not supposed to.
No.
Like that's not what we made it for.
Ooh,
it's so funny.
Something that's actually interesting about like the Xbox and how it's designed or whatever. Apparently, if you put a ping pong ball on top of the console when it's in vertical, once the fan starts going, the ping pong will just hover there.
Yeah,
and it's just a fun little thing. It's like it's a fun little thing. It's just
but so running and trying to get cool, like Snoop Dogg's Xbox.
Oh my gosh. His fridge. Oh my gosh. And then they made it an actual thing.
Yeah, because there's all the memes that's like when the first photos leaked and then it was releasing official photos for it. Like, this looks like a fridge. So they actually like made a fridge that looks like it.
Yeah.
And then they gave one to Snoop Dogg. That's so funny. I love that.
It was a pretty great moment.
I
have to say, like, even though I'm not somebody who's like an Xbox fan, like I respect both consoles.
Yeah.
I mean, PS5 comes out and it's got a bunch of exclusives. It's got that fast SSD and all. But then Xbox comes out and it is legitimately the most powerful console out there, and I cannot deny that. And it's really cool and really nice. Well, okay, I would like to say people getting along and supporting each other, but it's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
But I'm very happy for either fans, or if you're fans of both. You know?
Yeah. And so I've very much been an Xbox guy for a while, just because of the exclusives. Every time I didn't really have video games a lot growing up, but the good memories I had were like playing Halo, and they're like, that's Xbox exclusive. I'm like, so that's what I'm getting. And then it's like, well, PlayStation put more effort and priority in the exclusives arena and got stuff like Spider-Man and God of War and stuff. There's still a lot of great games that are both, like Assassin's Creed and stuff.
Oh, for
and the
sure.
Call of Duty, but and so like I'm especially with the Spider-Man Miles Morales, like I'm leaning towards PlayStation now. But there's software versus and Xbox is on hardware. And interesting development though. Did you see that Microsoft purchase or is in the talks to purchase Bethesda?
Yes, I believe that was announced like a week or two ago, I think.
Like, I know they were talking about it for the last few months, but like I think it's like official.
It is definitely official. Like I don't think like any repercussions with either of the studios is going to happen until like later next year, because they're still in like talks of what they own and whatnot. But it is definitely official that Bethesda is now owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting in terms of like Fallout and Skyrim.
Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls, right?
Doom.
Doom. They have said that like Skyrim's not going to be an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, they actually just like talked about that the other day. The Xbox CFO, Tim Stewart, he did an interview with website Seeking Alpha, He says they have no intentions of making it exclusive, but they said they will probably have it run better on Xbox. It's native. I mean,
right, yeah.
but like, I'm glad that they're not making it an exclusive. Like,
Oh, definitely. I mean,
it's too big of a franchise.
Oh, for sure. I mean, with Skyrim being one of the greatest and most popular games of all time, having the next game only be on a single console, although in theory would make that console a lot better because it has that one game, it's gonna just tank everything in the process.
It's the way they're doing it, because most other games that are like landmark games, like the Mario games, those are exclusive to that console. But that was it's just home. We've had Elder Scrolls everywhere else before. We've had Fallout everywhere before, and then now we're giving it.
It's expected to be everywhere, and then narrowing it down. I see what you're saying. It depends on where it starts.
Yeah, if it started everywhere and it gets narrowed down, it's like you're taking it away from everybody but yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Sony's in a weird area with Spider-Man because they own the film rights, so then they get media distribution rights, and so they're in a weird area with that.
Right.
Depending on how they're using him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm okay with how they're using them, at least for now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting question of would Spider-Man PS4 or whatever, would that have done better had it been a third-party game that was released to all consoles or whatever?
Yeah.
Or would it be just better as it is?
Yeah. I mean, because then you got to take time out of development to tailor it to each console. That they break down the overall quality of it, or since it is basically designed for the PS4. Whereas Miles Morales is built for the PS5. It's built with all this new ray tracing features and the fidelity mode and the
fidelity mode and performance mode. Like performance mode allows you to get a 60 FPS, but only play at like 1080 or something. But then fidelity mode being at like 4K or whatever with ray tracing and all that, but only having it at like 30 frames per second.
You get to pick.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, personally, having experienced both of them, because I have the PS5 and I've played Miles Morales, I personally prefer the performance mode, but I also don't have a super great TV. But like ray tracing doesn't seem to make that big of a difference.
Really?
Or at least compared to what they're doing in performance mode. Because they're still making like reflections nice and the light really pretty and stuff. But with ray tracing, it just gives that extra bit of oomph to really make things real and nice.
The biggest thing is like in the shadow, like the directs, like shadows and like the reflections. And so you're mainly like 80% of the screen is, either the sky, the ground, and the characters. But if you're like swinging around, that like the way.
Yeah, if you're moving by buildings really fast and stuff, like it's not until you stop and like look in a window and see how it's reflecting that you really notice the differences. And just getting that boost of like 30 to 60 FPS, I think, is a much bigger visual. It makes everything feel so much better to play.
Yeah.
And you don't really notice it until you put it on 60 FPS, and it's like, whoa!
Yeah,
it's running so well. This looks amazing. And which is an interesting thing. I'm curious if in future games and when like TVs start to get higher refresh rates and stuff, because the PS5 does support 120 FPS. But of course, no games are out for that yet, probably because there are very few TVs that have that capability.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if later down the line, if people are going to put more effort into making games 120 FPS and not like ray tracing and stuff like this.
Yeah, because you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice in areas first.
Exactly. You only have so much, processing data and RAM and all that stuff to work with. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure like internet's also a thing, but not with like that type of game.
No. I know internet connectivity has like a little bit to do with that kind of stuff, but I would assume that's not too much. So
yeah,
there must be something going on behind the scenes that I'm not like.
I'm using campus Wi-Fi, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's like you can't say anything.
Yeah, that's true.
But so each company is definitely putting emphasis in certain areas. Xbox is more hardware, would you say, and then Sony's is more software. Kind of.
Yes. No. I would completely agree with that.
Okay.
where Xbox has, it's the most powerful console or whatever. PlayStation 5 has all these exclusives and is much more geared towards software and stuff. Another thing with PS5 that I'll mention really quickly, I would argue it has the best controller.
Yeah.
With the DualSense. And having my hands on it now, I can really confirm with you, like, the rumble on it is amazing.
High fidelity?
Yeah, it's like, I think they call it high fidelity rumble or something.
Yeah.
It's basically a better version of the HD rumble from the Switch. One of the examples, Astro's Playroom, which is installed onto the PS5. There's like a section where he's walking around and like rain starts pouring and stuff. You can feel individual droplets hitting the controller, and it's just a little tick, 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 tick. And it's really interesting. And along with that are the adaptive triggers, where, and I'm sure it'll come more into play if you play something like Call of Duty Cold War or something like that, where if you're pressing on the triggers during certain sequences and certain things that happen, you'll get resistance on the triggers. And you'll have varying levels of resistance depending on what's going on. And so far with that, it's been pretty basic, depending on what you're looking at. But it is a level of like quality and immersion that does not exist in anywhere else.
Yeah, like the biggest thing I was like immediately thought of was like, well, everyone thinks gun triggers, but I'm thinking of like car games, and that like playing like second gen consoles, and it's a button. You're either going or you're not. So you're either accelerating and you're at top speed, or you're just not moving at all. So it's like, I want to play GTA and drive around like a normal person. Well, you're stopping and going. But it seems like with like the Xbox One and like the PS4, it seems like they're more at stops. At like, it's 30% going, 50, 70, 100.
Oh, yeah.
But like, it seems like with that, if it's more sensitive, you can actually like, I want to lock in at 30 miles per hour in this city.
That would definitely take skill even then, but it'll definitely be interesting to see, because it will feel like when you're accelerating a car, you have a bit of resistance with the pedal and stuff. You'll get that same kind of feel with the triggers, and like with braking also, when you're pressing it down, it's like and you're like, it's pushing back against you as you're trying to go, and so yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the PS5 can do and what developers can do with it. So it's a very interesting time. Here's an interesting comparison. Think about the first games that came out for PS4 like 7 years ago, and then compare that to what PS4 games are now.
Yeah.
Now think about PS5 games and how they are now, and think about how good they'll be 7 years from now. They're using the same hardware, but people are getting more used to how games are being built onto those consoles and being able to push more out of them.
Yeah.
And because of that, games are only going to get better, even though the hardware stays the same.
Yeah. That's a really good point to make, because if you keep on updating the hardware, it's all technical stuff, and if you're the casual gamer, you're not going to really notice it. Like, do you really need to play online? Need to do like online for like Firestorm or Team Deathmatch and Halo at 60 FPS all the time? Like,
it's nice, but you don't need.
You don't. Yeah, but then putting the actual like more immersive experience than just like improving the frame rate. More than just that. More than just. Like the lighting, the ray tracing lighting is a big thing.
Oh, for sure.
It's for the tuned eye.
Yes, I would say so.
But for like the casual gamer, it's so for everyone for sure. Just the feel of it.
Oh yeah.
Just the feel of it. Like definitely, you get a more immersive experience with the PlayStation.
Yes, although there is a bunch of technical stuff that happens with PS5, Xbox, whatever. For the casual gamer, all of that stuff is going to go right over their heads, and it's going to be very subtle. But there's going to be something about that they know that's like, oh, this is better, but I don't know why.
Like even just like the grip on the PS5 controller, it's rubber and it's textured in such a way, it's like inviting. But then like the Xbox, it's still plastic, big.
It is. It does have like a textured grip on the back, but it is still plastic. It's very comfortable to hold though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of good stuff. So main point you're driving home today is...
in this time of 2020 where you'd think nothing would be, doing very well, video games are not only surviving, they are thriving. and we are having one of the best years in video games in a long time, whether that be because of Animal Crossing or the new console launches or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're not into video games yet, get into them now because they're only going to get bigger and better. Even if you don't want to get like, the latest console or whatever, you don't have to. Like, just as like a media device that can also play a buttload of games, get the PS4, get the Xbox One or something. Like, those things are there because for people to buy for years, even though they might not be the current thing. Video games are, I genuinely believe video games are for everybody. You just have to find the right market or the right thing to get into.
And got my sister, and she's like, I want to get a Switch Lite, and I'm like, you're not a gamer though. It's like, but Animal Crossing though. I'm like, for Animal Crossing though.
Yeah, no, that's a very good reason to get that. My little sister was actually the same way.
Exactly,
she got a Switch Lite because of Animal Crossing, and then she more recently upgraded to the normal Switch because she wanted to explore more games that were on it. And I was so proud of her.
Like Breath of the Wild, here we go.
Oh man. It's great. It's great.
She's like, the phone version's just not the same.
Gosh, yeah.
And so she's like, I'll only play a few games. I'm like, I would say when you start. But once you start looking at other things, you're gonna be a gamer.
Yeah, and only go in as far as you want to.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things like once you're in, you are in. Like it's fine just being casual. It's great being casual sometimes. So yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that at all. But awesome.
Play video games, try them out. Trust me, take my word for it.
Yeah.
You'll have fun.
You have the experience of over the years growing up with the different consoles and handhelds.
A little bit, yeah. I have a few spots that I'm not too aware of, but I'm growing my knowledge day by day.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Where can people find you now? What are you up to right now?
If you want to find me on social media, on Twitter, I am strawberry_ABS or strawberry abs. And on Facebook, you can, find me as my name, of course. And maybe in the future, you might also find me under the guise of Strawberry Games because, I kind of want to make games for a living and might put my games under that umbrella and such. So look out for that,
Yeah. So go follow him. Go see what he's putting out. He's still developing stuff. He got a couple small things out right now on Steam and
nothing on Steam. Nothing on Steam.
Okay.
I got a couple things on a website called itch.io, which is just a free publishing site. I have a small mobile game called Box Ninja. It's a small little thing, but I'm proud of it. So it's
only up from here.
Yeah, exactly. Only up from here. Years from now, I'm gonna come out with this game that's like getting so many awards and stuff. And
for sure. I mean, you're starting out small, using what you know, and always willing to learn more, and just only up from there.
Yep, it can only get better.
That's awesome. It's going to be great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, dropping the knowledge on us.
It's been fun.
Yeah. All right, well, you have a good one, man.
You as well.
As you can see, there's a lot going on in the video game industry, but we barely even scratched the surface. With Halo Infinite getting delayed earlier this year to an unannounced 2001 release date, the Xbox One Series X is missing one of its oldest and most popular exclusive titles at launch. 343 Industries community director Brian Jarrett posted to Reddit saying that the game is getting a public update after the holiday season, but no new gameplay footage will be shown. Japanese developer and publisher Capcom fell victim to a data breach with a ransomware attack. The company has released an official statement on their website with a list of all the once private information that they have been able to track. Similarly, Canadian developer and studio Ubisoft Montreal reported a hostage situation developing at their building on November 13th. The local police department responded accordingly by safely escorting all of the building's employees. They followed up to the incident via Twitter, saying that they did not find a threat and an investigation has begun. GameBite reported a 96% player drop for Marvel's Avengers on PC in the game's first month and a half. Since then, those numbers have fallen to almost 98%. While again these numbers are for online PC players, it is probably safe to say that console players have started to lose significant interest as well in the once hyped Marvel game. Moving over to the film industry, finally we get some good news. Wonder Woman 1984 gets another release date. The long-awaited DC film is currently scheduled to release in theaters and on HBO Max on Christmas Day. After a leak for a new trailer with the new release date found its way to Twitter, director Patty Jenkins tweeted herself with an official statement sharing her excitement for finally being able to share the film. Of course, this brings up DC's biggest competitor, Marvel, and their 2020 female-led film of their own, Black Widow. An exclusive report from Deadline confirms Disney is holding true to their original decision of waiting until theaters start becoming more successful once again. With the release of the Disney Plus exclusive series WandaVision being moved to January of next year, no new Marvel Cinematic Universe content will be released in the entire year of 2020. The last time this happened was in 2009 between the releases of The Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2. Meanwhile, Deadpool 3 moves forward with the announcement that the writers behind Bob's Burgers will write the film's script. The Hollywood Reporter claims the Merc with the Mouth will still be allowed to make his signature adult humor R-rated despite being under the House of Mouse. See? I told you I had some good news. I'm Jay Sprant, signing off. Thank you for listening, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye.